We want that sound that shows people that, yo, you could do that at home. You don't need high production to sound good at all.
Hello and welcome to Everything Remade, a podcast that I hope is about growth as much as it is about music. I'm Sean Decker, and I'd like you to hear something. You're hearing Aranea Ionith off of Lord Snow's new LP Shadow Marks, featuring my friend Steph Maldonado on bass and vocals. Steph sat down to talk with me in my home in Lafayette, Indiana, in the middle of a hectic week of finals and preparing for Lord Snow's third European tour.
Northwest Indiana, raised and grew up in Highland. It's like right by the border of Illinois and about like 40 minutes from Chicago. But Nico grew up like 10 minutes away from me. But we didn't meet till we were like 18, 19.
What was your life like at home, like as a kid? Like what were your parents like? What kind of music were your parents into?
So I have a Mexican background, and growing up, they were kind of overprotective and sheltered, so I didn't really venture out till I was like late teens. But growing up, I was always around Latin music, anywhere from like, I don't know, cumbia, some like hip hop shit, and my parents both grew up listening to rock, weirdly, so they also played a lot of Police. Yeah. Police, and my mom was a David Bowie fan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did your interest in music start when, like, all the way back then when you were a kid, or was there an event or something that happened later that really like got you interested in music independently?
You know, for the majority of my childhood, I never had a connection with music. I never heard music that was relatable. I never thought that there was music that I identified with. And then when I was around middle school age, I started getting more exposure to like, I don't know, like bands like The Refused and Queens of the Stone Age and just random mildly mainstream rock bands and shit. But I spent a lot of time in Borders, the bookstore, when I was like 14, 15, and would find new artists and stuff and just like the music magazines. And that's when I started like seeing all these new wacky genres of music and stuff. And then some of my friends were in little DIY punk bands and stuff, so that's when I really fell in love with DIY music. So when I was around 17, about 17, I was like, this is what I want to do. I need to, be that band that plays in the basement.
Yeah. And is that when you got interested in bass, or did you play like any kind of instrument in school before that?
Well, I took piano lessons since I was like 8 years old. Maybe probably later, I don't know. But I hated it. It felt like more of a chore. I thought the idea of music was chill, but I was like, I don't want to play like just these basic songs. And so then in middle school, I picked up clarinet because of Squidward.
Everyone played clarinet at some point, I think.
Literally because of Squidward. And then I'm so immature. And then I think like 13 or 14, I got my first guitar. I wanted one so bad. And my parents wouldn't let me take lessons because they were like, you're not going to commit. Like, we're not going to spend the money. So I was self-taught. I just like learned how to play tabs and watched videos of people playing. So I actually play guitar first. I wouldn't really consider myself a bassist.
Oh, I did not know that. So
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna ask next. Do you prefer playing guitar over bass, or it's just a different thing altogether?
It's a different thing altogether. I think
Yeah.
when I do songwriting, because I'll write personal stuff, it's always on the guitar. Honestly, within the last like 3 years, have I really like understood what the bass is and like explored that as like a method of songwriting.
Yeah, I don't know what any of it is. When I write songs like on bass, they always sound like quirky adventure tunes, like a bad Zelda or something.
Well,
But,
I always thought it was just like a background instrument, but then I got into this bassist called her name's Esperanza Spalding. She's like a classic jazz bassist.
Okay.
And of course, Thundercat. I don't know if you listen to him. He plays a lot of Flying Lotus tracks and has a lot of just solo projects too. But that really influenced me to realize that bass itself is like a whole nother realm of like artistry, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's interesting just how different playing each thing makes me feel, you know, and the way that you lock into each instrument, like the way, I don't know, just like when I play guitar, I feel like I pick up the guitar differently. I just everything about it, like just the way you really lock in, and the energies you channel or whatnot. Not to sound too abstract.
No, totally. I mean, personally, like, I don't know why, but my ear just, when I first started listening to music, I only listened to guitar. I could only physically comprehend the guitar parts.
Yeah.
And like, then I never paid attention to vocals, for instance. And then I went through a period where I was like, oh, I could only listen to vocals. And then now I'm a little bit more, have an ear for everything and could like appreciate a lot of different aspects of all the instruments.
Yeah, for sure. Going back to when you got your guitar, your very first guitar, what was it like the first time you played it? Like the first time you picked up your guitar?
Frustrating.
It.
It was so frustrating. I was like, put me in, coach. I want to like rock out, but it's like a lot harder than, you know, it seems, and it really takes practice to like get good and to actually sound like how you want to sound.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't talk about is like it can be genuinely frustrating. I remember having to really convince myself to keep going. But so how long did it take after you got your guitar and started playing before you were maybe you didn't feel like you were ready, but you went ahead and just said, okay, I'm in a band now? How long were you playing before that happened?
You know, life happens when you're a teenager. So I did like, you know, when I first got the guitar, I was like all about it, and then like put it in the corner and it collected dust. Yeah. And then probably like when I was like a sophomore in high school, I started actually like exploring songwriting and started recording myself in the garage at like 3 in the morning when everyone is asleep because I was terrified of people hearing me.
What would you record on?
I think at that point I just had my brother's MacBook, and I just used straight up like a mic from, I don't know, it was so old. It just plugged straight into the mic jack. Like, it wasn't fancy at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of singer-songwriter acoustic stuff, you know, had the egg shaker, DIY percussions and stuff. But,
yeah.
Yeah, I actually recorded my first songs, and they're really special because I was going through a lot of things, and I posted it on MySpace. And some people that were, well, this person in particular was in a band that I actually had a lot of respect for. They were local, but he was friends with an old partner, and he mocked me and put it on his MySpace as a joke. So that was absolutely crushing, and I wanted to, like, straight up never record or do any kind of music ever again. So then I kind of put everything on hold for several months to like a year.
Well, you know, that person is now just like a shift leader at AutoZone, so, you know, don't worry about it.
Yeah, so...
but not that, you know, I mean,
I think
shift leader at AutoZone is fine.
I think we all, like, not all, but a lot of musicians that I'm friends with have gone through a period where they've questioned their own, you know, potential at creating music and kind of made them put things on pause. But then it's just fuel to their own, like, motivation at the end of the day and makes them push to be more of a artist. And so
yeah. So you didn't answer what your first band was like.
Oh, Lord Snow. It was my only first band.
No
I've never
kidding.
been in a band ever. Hell
Wow.
no. Yeah.
Wow.
They always, Eric and Nico.
That's a hell of a start. There.
Yeah, they tease me. They're like, "You're so lucky, man.
Oh.
Lord Snow's first band. Like, we've had to put in the years, you know."
Oh.
But yeah, I
they're
got lucky.
incredibly humble, is what you're saying.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, Lord Snow's first band, and I think we played with y'all probably for the first time around 2012, and I your first demo, did you do vocals on the first?
On that first EP, I did like
some
2 screams or something.
Okay,
and that was so terrifying.
And I think when we played with y'all and we started playing with y'all, was right after the changeover and you became the main vocalist.
For the record, that's all. We're all good friends.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't think that there was any.
Yeah, it was just like different life paths and low commitment.
Yeah.
That, so yeah. I kind of took on vocals just because we had shows to play. Not something that I really wanted to do at all.
Well, I do remember you saying that you were happy to just play bass and play guacar. And,
yeah.
And the whole time we're like, no, but you gotta scream.
Yeah.
But you know, so you said you grew up real close to where Nico grew up, but you didn't meet Nico until later. When did you meet them, and when did you meet Eric?
Okay, so I had seen Nico with his beautiful blonde hair back in, like, I don't know, early Circa Raw Nerve days. So
okay.
I don't know, I knew who he was, and my best friend had like the biggest crush on him. So that's kind of how we started to talk, because we met each other just hanging out with the same friends. And then I was at school in Loyola, which is like way up north Chicago, and Nico was living in Indiana but was going to school in Chicago at Columbia, and he was like, let's start a band. And so I was like, hell yeah. So originally he was gonna play drums and I was gonna play guitar. We were gonna be called like Horse Limbs or something ridiculous. And then literally randomly he was like, okay, we're gonna go practice, I have a drummer. And I'm like, what the hell? And he's like, and you're gonna play bass now, you can play bass, right? And I was like, sure. And I didn't even own a bass or anything, but I was like, yeah, it's just like bigger guitar. Less strings.
Guitar. Yeah.
So then we showed up at Treasure Town where Eric lived at the time, and I think there was no introduction at all, and we just started playing, and it was honestly rather awkward. But we teased now that me and Eric never actually introduced ourselves or formally met. We just were in the room and had a California cigar and just played, and that was it. And then the rest is history.
Yeah. So it was awkward between all of you or between you and Eric?
No, Eric. I mean, Nico was really good friends with Eric at the time,
okay,
and so like it was like
because
Nico just failed to introduce us, and we just started playing, and I'm awkward, and it was just awkward. And
right.
No bad vibes, just
yeah. No, I didn't. Your first shows, like, what were they like?
Terrifying. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I just like stood right by the bass amp and like cowered and was like, oh my god, like I know I only had like 4 notes to play, but I was like, oh my god. And then of course they're just so extreme. I think we played like only like 2 local shows, and then they're like, all right, we're gonna go do this show in South by, I think it was. And so we just did our first tour like right off the back, and it was so insane to me. I think we actually went to California. Maybe. I don't remember.
Like
I know
real soon after you started playing.
Yeah,
out.
and I was like, this is literally like less than 10 shows that I've ever played in my life, and we're already doing this tour, and it was no room for adjustment. Just threw me in.
Right to the wolves.
Yeah.
How many U.S. tours have y'all done?
Shoot. Honestly, I don't think that many. I think did the first U.S. tour we did, we actually like drove to California, I think. And then we've done West Coast tours.
Oh, just
straight
all the
up the back.
there.
And then, I don't know, I want to say like 4 or 5.
You're heading back to Europe this week, and this is your second time?
It's actually a third. Yeah.
Okay. Who have you toured with in Europe before?
So the first time we went was to like, I guess, support our split release with Afterlife Kids.
Oh, right.
So they took us the first time. Love them. They were so grateful, and they made the whole experience so easy for us. And then the second time, we were supposed to do our tour with Deer in the Headlights, but they had issues getting across the border to play. So then we kind of just solo trekked that tour, and that's the year we played Fluff Fest.
Oh, right.
And then this year, we honestly had no intentions of doing a tour, but someone had reached out to us and was like, hey, like, you should play this fest in Berlin, and there's a band called Soul Glow that needs another band. And we're like, oh, they're homies.
Yeah.
And so we just hit them up, and they're like, yeah, dude, play these shows with us. So it worked out really well this last tour that we're going on. Mm-hmm.
Miss the Stars is a really good time.
I'm super stoked.
They're really focused on like the fest as like a community.
Oh,
and
totally.
Everything that they have going on at the space is really cool. So, third time going to Europe. I've only been once, but but we're heading back also. But it's impossible not to notice like some differences.
Oh.
What differences did you notice, like shows over there versus shows in like the US?
I think the biggest thing was just the amount of like respect and appreciation for touring bands that they have. In the States, you could have traveled, you could have crossed like 10 states to play a show, and like kids don't care about that. They're like, oh, you're just a band. Oh, I happen to like you. That's cool. Oh, you guys sound cool. But there's actually like this sense of like, holy crap, you guys are on tour. Like, let me show you some hospitality. Let me show you some attention while you play. Let me just respect you guys. And on top of that, the people that throw the shows always, they the simple as giving you a meal to eat or a place to sleep, or is just like pure luxury compared to like touring in the States. A lot of time that kind of accommodation isn't even a question. It's not on the page at all.
Yeah. I'm not one of those heyday people that like think that everything was better, 15 years ago. I'm not that naive,
Yeah.
but it definitely used to be more like that touring in the US back in the late 90s. It was definitely like, because that's the first thing that they'll do over there is you just get to the venue and they're like, we're cooking you food, we're gonna show you where you're gonna sleep tonight.
Oh my
And we're
God.
like, okay. We're like, all right.
I know.
And there's a show too, right? But I think that's everyone that I've talked to about it. It's just like they kind of say the same things. And I don't know, it's gotten to where sometimes even if I'm just going to a show that we're playing, sometimes I cook food and take it to the other bands because I'm just like, come on, we got to step up our game here, right?
Yeah, totally.
Um,
I think the venues themselves too just seem to have already had like a long life and well established in their local communities. That, I mean, you go to most of the venues and there's like stickers from like bands that have played like 10, 15, 20 years ago, and you're like, wow, what?
oh yeah.
And it's just like a small DIY venue, but a lot of history and a lot of support from the communities that helped them, survive and thrive.
Yeah, and probably got that way by being like super organized.
And granted, like, the political and government shit has allowed them to stay that way. Houses get shut down all the time in the States.
Yeah.
Which is shitty.
Yeah.
It kind of makes it hard to keep a DIY space going too.
For sure. Not necessarily this tour coming up, like, but what's a typical Lord Snow tour like? What kind of stuff do y'all get up to, like, other than playing the show? Like, is it sightseeing, or is it just a lot of
well, first of all, I think we're like friends before bandmates, and we're only 3 people, so like getting along is like so chill. There's hardly any arguments, so like, I don't know, Nico doesn't really care about particular things when we travel. Eric and me kind of are like, oh dude, we should check this out, like kind of the touristy stuff. But I don't know, like, we don't make that a priority. I think this year, we're trying to plan it more so that we know where we're going and what to see. I think we've honestly have gone into a lot of tours blindly, and then last minute been like, oh, like, we're in the city, we should check this out, it's probably chill. But yeah, I don't know. I think we're pretty simple. We really tour to tour, not to like vacation.
Yeah.
Although this last Mexico tour, I made it like my personal vacation. Flew in early and flew out late just to see Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that surprises people when you don't, like, because I'm happy to be there.
Yeah.
And I feel like that surprises people when you're not like, I want to see this place that I know about or whatnot. And
we don't plan it in a way too where we even have time to do that. Like, we'll have like 6-8 hour drives, and it's like, I don't want to go in public, it's rush hour right now.
Yeah.
But I totally respect people that like make a point to do that stuff.
Oh, I mean, I've heard about bands that have printed out like 30-page like itineraries and stuff, just like, and I just, I'm happy I remembered my toothbrush, you know?
Yeah,
So,
and I mean, to be quite frank, like playing shows in general are like so emotionally exhausting for the three of us that it kind of puts us in a place where like we're not in vacation mode.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of preparation building up to each show, and then like uh emotional weight.
Totally. I mean, don't get me wrong. We wanted to like party and chill, but like it's not our priority. It's
Yeah.
just like mental stability.
Yeah. I want to ask, do you think that in the time from when you first started going and playing shows until now, do you feel like there's been an overall improvement in the way that uh, women are treated, and or like given more respect um, at shows by other bands, by people in the community, by people who are putting on the shows in general?
I think there has been, in all honesty, like the first couple years that we were a band, it was so stressful for me that I didn't really engage with anyone at the shows. So I avoided a lot of that contact. Also, like people worship Nico and Eric just on their like skill ability. So not that I get overshadowed, but like a lot more people who appreciate Lord Snow, appreciate the technicality of the music itself, and are just like geeking out with them. So bless them because I don't get approached as much. I honestly tend to just like hang out in the shadows. But as a, you know, from what I see, I mean, like when we first started out, like there was hardly any women or queer people in on the shows that we played. It was just like a real heavy hetero male dominated, you know, thing.
Yeah.
Now I feel like we also have contacts where we have friends that are allies that are part of the queer community and put on shows that are inclusive and have people from all kinds of backgrounds that are in those shows. And I think in that sense my experience has improved from what I've seen. I think it's still always going to be a struggle, especially when you're playing. I mean, some people put us in like that power violence category, and there's not a lot of women queer identifying bands. I don't think there's enough
Yeah.
for it to like to have a solid tour where like I don't know. I think that it's going in the right direction. I think that the amount of respect has like improved. People don't really say Lord Snow is a female fronted band. We don't like that. We don't want to identify as that. I think that we value that we're musicians at the end of the day. We're not gendered in that sense.
Yeah.
I think that understanding has spread as a whole throughout the DIY community, that they're a lot more not PC, but just like understanding that like you can't assume
Don't say
things.
dumb shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's the my big takeaway over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Like since, because I didn't play like very many shows at all. Like in the late 90s, playing a lot of shows and hearing dumb shit.
Yeah, you don't have to open your mouth. I think a lot of people have changed in that regard, that they realize like, hey, like don't say dumb shit like you said. Like just enjoy the show, guys.
Yeah.
You don't have to open your mouth.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are challenges always, don't get me wrong, but I think for the most part, like the little subculture that we fit in and that we play in has the, I guess, culture to know don't say dumb shit.
Right.
Yeah, and we also make a point not to play shows with like all hetero bands and just macho mentalities. Like we really try to tour with bands that have feminist values or queer values or just a minority perspective.
Do you feel like these improvements have extended to any any further than like sort of circles that we travel in, or do you think like if Lord Snow were to get to that next rung or
Yeah.
whatever on the success ladder, that you'd kind of be back to square one, like that whole like this band's pretty good for having blank, do you feel like it's just where we are, or do you feel like maybe society itself has come a little further? But
I mean, they're making baby steps. I mean, that whole like,
because we're in Indiana, so
it's rough. I mean, call out culture is a thing. I think that there's, I think that that's a thing, and that I think it's bringing the conversation to the table. I think at the end of the day, you can't control a lot of people and what they say on the internet and how they, talk and the stupid shit they say. But I think to an extent, people are starting to hold their friend circles more accountable for the way they act. And I think that's promising, but I don't think that like we're anywhere near like a, peace, love, and unity kind of society. But I mean,
no, of course not.
I mean, people are gonna say dumb shit.
But overall, hope I guess we're feeling like let's hope it keeps getting better. What do you feel like would be the glass ceiling of like success for you personally, as far as like Lord Snow is concerned? Like, how do you feel like there's a level that you could reach that you'd be like, nah, that's too much?
We've been having a lot of these conversations within the band, and like, I mean, we're not freaking trying to. I think the biggest objective is to make our music accessible to everyone so that they could relate. So I don't think signing to a label or doing anything like that necessarily could help that, besides promoting and spreading it. I mean, we make our music totally accessible. We upload it on SoundCloud, YouTube. If you DM us, we will literally send you the tracks. So I think like we're at that level, to be honest. I feel like there's nothing more we want. We're not a high production band. We don't desire that. We don't desire to go to a studio and have it mixed. We've got a lot of negative feedback about Shadow Marks that just came out because of the way it was mixed and mastered.
Oh yeah, I got into I would not let them talk about it all like
but
that.
like, I mean, I mean, Nico's in Ghost Spirit. Like, that's a high produced band. Like, if that's what they want, but that's not what we want. We're raw. We're
that's
not even like, I mean, we have DIY roots till the day we die, but like at the same time, it's not about that high production. We want that sound that shows people that, you could do that at home. You don't need high production to sound good at all. I mean, Nico only plays out of Squire Strats with one pedal. He doesn't have an insane pedal board. Like, I don't know what Eric plays, but like, we don't spend money on gear. We don't spend money on like recording and production. I mean, it probably would help and might gain more listeners who don't have an ear for that kind of what our current raw sound.
right.
But no, I mean, we're next level, man. If you don't get it, then like, you're behind. You don't get it.
Well, I mean, there's two things I'll say about that. Number one, I get real frustrated when other people assume what a band should sound like. Like, this is the band that put out this album. Like, they put out this album. Like, what? Who are you? Like, they wrote the songs.
Yeah, I mean, people are always going to feel kind of entitled, especially when you're sitting on your little high horse behind a computer screen, thinking your opinion, is all.
I mean, there's preference. Like, oh, I would like it if this sounded a little more like
good
this.
for you,
And then
buddy.
there's like, this is blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, people want to say like our shit's shit, but like I don't know, it's intentional.
I mean,
that's what we want. That's how we like it. If you don't like it, sorry.
Yeah. I think that everything I saw about the album was overwhelmingly positive, except for, you know, some people got to come in from the, you know.
And at the end of the day, too, like if you've never seen us live, like I don't know what you would expect. We're so DIY and make use with whatever gear we have. Like we're not like our live performance isn't like crazy. We don't get into techie stuff. So I feel like producing something that's so polished and stuff is not even real. It's just like wouldn't even be true nature to us.
Right. Well, I think for a while that there was y'all were the band that we played with more than any other band.
Really?
Right? And yeah, oh for sure.
Yeah.
For a while we were seeing each other all the time, and I think the thing with me is you know, it's a force. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a force, and if you go and you feel that and you take something away from that, then there you are. You know. You can listen to this. You can listen to the songs at home. You can feel one way. You can be at the show and you can feel another way. But what I was going to say about regarding production is I've had similar thoughts to what you were saying. Where okay, if you had someone else mix this with fancier stuff, then more people might be into it. Which is, you know, that's fine and whatever. And then the other day, like. I don't even know. I think I was like listening to just something that was like going through the algorithm as it does, and a Seosin song came on, and Ari was like, "Who is this? This is sick." And I was like, that's the answer to my question. Yes,
Ari is his son.
If there is something, you know, to that like whole production values thing, but it's not up to like, you know, people on the internet to decide what a band says they should sound like. But so you don't have like, you know, your big rock star dreams.
No.
But you're in school. And how close are you to being done?
I have like a whole year, so 2 more semesters.
2 more.
Yeah, Eric and Nico both graduated to Columbia and are living their careers out on the West Coast. Right. And I kind of put my shit on hold because I didn't know what the hell I was wanting to do.
What is your degree, and what are you going to be doing with that ideally after you?
So, I'm studying civil engineering with a concentration in construction engineering. I don't know. I like the idea of building shit. I like the idea of, I don't know. I think any community, I'm not there to sell out or like, you know, work for the man, but I think that is such a kind of messed up industry for, union workers and laborers and stuff, that I think that, and even the sustainability side too, I think we need more people that care in that industry. And you could always translate that into anything. I mean, most people hear civil engineers and they're like, oh, you build highways, you build bridges. But no, it's like buildings, homes, small projects and stuff. I think it's just fun.
Do you think there's ever a point where your career will make it to where you can't play music?
No, I don't know. I think from my experience, I worked full time when I was like 20, 22 or something. And I know how demanding you could make your career and how you could just go there for a paycheck. So I think if you have boundaries for yourself, you could have a social life in music. I mean, it might be a struggle to get to that particular job to be able to do that, but it exists where you could balance that. But I mean, at the end of the day, music's has never been mine or Nico or Eric's number one priority. Like it's not a hobby, but it's not the sole purpose of our lives. I think we have just so many different ambitions that we just are constantly just doing so many projects at once, whether it's like art or just career shit. Yeah, we have dreams outside of music.
Yeah. So there is no scenario where Lord Snow gets asked to go on tour with Alice in Chains and becomes the next thing, and you all just say, all right, never mind our careers.
No, I think at the end of the day, we all kind of put our personal lives first. Eric's married. He's got a daughter on the way.
That's great.
We know that we can't be physically playing music the rest of our lives. At some point, like your body could only take so much, you know. I'm talking like in your 60s, 70s, 80s.
I'm ready to test that.
Right, push that limit. But yeah, I don't know. We already don't. I mean, we for fuck's sake, we like lived together for like several years and hung out more than we played music. Like, the music we make isn't something that we try to do. It's just something we feel, and when the time comes, we do it. It's not, we don't want to, push it or force it. So,
and that's probably why you've been able to last this long. Like,
yeah.
So what are your long-term plans, like after school? Just career? Are there more artistic endeavors that you want to get involved in that you're not already involved in? Or
yeah, I mean, I think in my case, and it doesn't, I know I'm, I guess, privileged in a sense that I have this opportunity to go to school, and I could, use a career to relocate if I wanted to have a means to support myself. But in this day and age of technology, like, it doesn't matter where I'm at, but I do want to keep pursuing music and start bands and stuff. I mean, I'm in Plaguewalker. We're all like long distance and stuff, and are still able. I try to do as much as I can with my schedule, but it's possible to keep doing it wherever you're at. But I do explore other projects. I've always tried to jam with people. I don't think that I could write screamo. I don't know. I don't know if I could write screamo. It's not my. I don't know. I feel too self-conscious about that. But I really like. I don't know. I like bands like Spirit of the Beehive and Avlov and just like fuzzed out, chill bands, and I think that's the direction I'm going with projects in the future.
Yeah,
as far as like my personal songwriting and stuff.
See, that's me when I try to write chill stuff. It ends up screamo. Yeah. It's the other way around.
Yeah.
I try, but I mean, it's like they say, back on my bullshit. Did you ever have plans to like settle down, as it were, start a family, anything like that? Or this is kind of like this is a question I really don't know how to ask. Like, me myself, like I never planned it, but then
Yeah.
once I was there, but some people do.
I don't think that it's on my radar. I mean, things happen and you feel different ways as you age that I might want to start a family. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but it's not something that
Yeah.
I have planned at all.
Yeah.
I think Nico, it's not even something he thinks about.
Yeah.
Eric, he's always been a family guy at heart.
And Eric's there now.
Yeah, so I think everyone's got their own thing, their own desires, and there should be no shame in what you want. I mean, at all. Some people, pass judgment about people that want families, but I think it's a beautiful thing.
And some people pass judgment on people that don't.
Yeah,
and
it's like let them live.
Yeah.
Make your own decisions, whatever you want. But I support it all, whatever you want. I don't know what the hell I want in life. I just need to get through school in one piece.
That's very fair. Well, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Not really, but just side note, we're not a female-fronted, feminist, vegan hardcore band. I think someone posted that, and someone like literally said that in a blog post, but no, I mean, I don't think any of us are vegan.
Like in a review or in a mention?
Somebody blogged about us and how they described us was like, Lord Snow, female-fronted, vegan, feminist, hardcore, something, but no, we don't identify with that. We honestly don't identify with anything.
Yeah.
We push the screamo. I mean, that's probably the closest category that we go for. I hate the term scrams. I guess we fall into that.
Yeah, well.
Power.
Yeah. Let's not.
Power violence, I guess. I personally like to say we're jazz fusion.
Jazz fusion.
Melodic punk. I don't know. We've got all of our influences that we're not. We don't like solely identifying with screamo scrams shit. We appreciate the emotive, integrity of all sorts of genres and artists. And low key, this last album, Shadow Marks, was really influenced by the acoustic artist Khaki King.
I remember you used the tuning.
Yeah.
That
So I think that anyone that is out there that feels confused with the direction of their songwriting is to just go with it when you are really truly influenced by some sort of music, whatever the genre may be. So yeah.
Yeah, I recently was writing a guitar part, and I realized that it's actually the vocal melody of a Seal song.
Yeah, dude.
So it's a Seal, but make it screamo, and maybe somebody will find out which song that is, but maybe not. But I don't. It's I think it's really. I think sometimes when you notice a band that does a particular sound like really, really, really well, it's because they're only drawing from that sound, as opposed to like what you were saying, just take the sounds you like and do whatever you're gonna do, and then it gets a little bit weird, a little bit, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like, we are what we are. I don't know. I mean, everyone fucking says that shit. Like, don't put me in a genre. We just do whatever. But like, seriously, like, I mean, you can say whatever you want about us, but like, we don't identify with anything particular. I mean, Eric's
and calling something female fronted now. I mean, just fucking. What did I say about the dumb shit?
That's dumb shit.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Let's stop with the dumb shit.
I am grateful that I play bass well, so I don't get that. I don't get that typical stigma of like, oh, you guys have a female vocalist that hold the mic and goes in the front.
Yeah,
like I kind
which is like, even if that's all someone's doing,
Yeah.
just fucking show them respect.
And I
yeah.
feel
But I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like
I get a lot of that. It gets kind of just. I've avoided a lot of that direct, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
People
this
seen me like that. So.
the borderline like judgment.
Oh yeah, I give so much respect for women that get up there and hold them. Like I'm terrified.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to dance.
I love hiding behind my face. Yeah. Like this protects me. It's my safe space. It's so big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like there was other things I want to ask, but I went through my notes. But anyway. Thanks so much for agreeing to chat with me.
Hell yeah! I lived like 10 minutes away.
Yeah, be safe over there. Take care of each other.
Yeah.
Take care of Ruben.
I will. I want to just give a shout out to Sean, and like I always like admire what they do to support the community. Yeah, I think Middleman's our favorite label.
All right, next LP on Middleman Records. This is a verbal contract now.
Verbal contract? No, for real.
And that concludes the first episode of Everything Remade. Thanks so much, Steph, for being here. And thanks to you all for listening. Until next time, take care and do good things.